You've been here before, in the aisle, reading labels, wondering if melatonin or a magnesium supplement will help you sleep better. Or what about chamomile or ashwagandha tea? That sounds nice. But what if the answer is really over in the produce aisle? There's a lot of noise in healthcare and you are too busy for fads. I'm Dr. Vicki and this is Healthy Looks Great on You, a lifestyle medicine podcast, life tested, doctor approved. This is not a particularly new line of thinking. We all know that what we put into our bodies affects the sleep-wake cycle. That morning hit of caffeine gets you going in the morning. So, of course, that's not the recommended nighttime drink before bed, unless you're like my grandfather. When I was a kid, I spent every Saturday night with my grandparents. And right before bed, my papa would fix us both a bowl of cereal and a cup of coffee. And get this, it was Sanka. You know, the instant decaf crystals that dissolve in water and taste kind of like gas station coffee. Well, he'd pour milk into my mug and then add just enough Sanka to turn it a little bit brown. We'd sip, smack our lips together and say, ah, just like in the commercials. But here's the deal. No one is drinking coffee at night to help them sleep better, right? But caffeine is pretty good at hiding, sometimes in unexpected places like decaf coffee and tea, as well as soda, ice cream, chocolate, cocoa, that includes hot chocolate, and even some breakfast cereals. Darn. Want some more bad news about food and sleep? Well, too much of the former can lead to too little of the latter. While we're talking about what to eat for sleep, pay attention to high-fat foods. First of all, they can make you gain weight and that contributes to poor sleep. But not only that, chronic high-fat diets may actually reduce orexin activity in the brain. Put that at the top of your paper because we're going to head to mini medical school to learn a little more about orexin. But before we go to class, let's talk about that big steak that kept you up all night. Yeah, I saw that. It sat in your stomach like a rock, didn't it? And it didn't help that you ate it right before bedtime either. You see, high-protein foods like steak and even chicken take a long time to digest. And that's not what your body is supposed to be doing at bedtime. Digestion slows down while you sleep. So when you toss in a late-night meat fest, your GI tract gets stuck, working overtime. On top of that, red meat that's either aged or processed, like the pepperoni you're putting on your pizza, contains tyramine, a compound that triggers the release of norepinephrine, which can stimulate your brain and interfere with sleep. So yes, pepperoni pizza can literally keep you up at night. Add a little chipotle to your steak dinner and you've got a recipe for reflux that burns you awake and starts the vicious cycle I talked about on last week's episode. Not only does spicy food fire up your belly, it can actually raise your core body temperature, which fights the nighttime cool down that your body needs for quality sleep. And if you top it off with a glass of wine or a cocktail, sure, you might fall asleep faster, but it's unlikely you'll stay in that deep, restorative stage of sleep that your body really needs. Alcohol is like a bouncer who lets you in the club, then kicks you out before the best part of the party. So here's the recipe for poor sleep. A big old aged steak with habanero cream sauce, a glass of wine, and a late night dinner reservation. Throw in some indigestion and you're all set for a restless night. But you came here to learn recipes that make sleep better, not worse. So I'll share those in a moment. But first, I promised we'd go to mini medical school. Remember the word you wrote at the top of your paper? That's right, orexin. Oh, you didn't remember that? Well, here's a bonus. It has another name, hypocretin. I don't know which is easier to remember, but either way, orexin is a neuropeptide, a tiny molecule made in the lateral hypothalamus, which is an almond-sized area smack in the middle of your brain. It acts like a chemical messenger that influences wakefulness, appetite, energy, mood, and motivation. And because those things are so tangled up with food and sleep, orexin plays a big role in both, even if we don't fully understand it yet. We know it stimulates areas like the ventral tegmental area and the nucleus accumbens, which are both involved in motivation and reward, aka the parts of your brain that convince you need a cookie at 10 p.m. Orexin neurons are active during the day to help you stay awake and alert. They also help your brain transition smoothly between sleep stages, especially preventing sudden drops into REM or rapid eye movement sleep, which is part of what goes wrong in narcolepsy when orexin disappears altogether. So this little neurochemical has some serious jobs. But too much fat in your diet over time may suppress orexin's activity, which might make you sleepy when you want to be awake and hungry when you're already full. To heck with all that real science. Did you see the TikTok video that said you should soak iceberg lettuce in hot water and drink the water to make you sleep? Apparently, there is a study that absolutely proves it works because researchers gave bitter lettuce extract to a few rats, and it was sedating. Now, this would be a good time to remind you to listen to the episode, How to Do Your Own Research. You can go to my website, www.healthylooksgreatonyou.com, and there's a little search bar so you can look for episodes that will help you understand that sedating rats with lettuce water does not make a TikToker a scientist. But it turns out that real scientists really are looking at the mild sedative effects of lactucin, which is found in lettuce, so there's that. And there's certainly no harm in eating a salad. Now, let's get back to what we know. We know there is a significant relationship between your diet and sleep. So skip the steak, the cream sauce, the habanero peppers, and the glass of wine, and opt instead for a high-fiber, low-sugar, low-saturated diet. Because eating better might just help you sleep better, and sleeping better will also help you eat a healthier diet. It's a beautiful self-reinforcing loop. Let's dive into food as sleep medicine. Your body needs certain nutrients to make melatonin, which is the sleep hormone. And those nutrients don't work alone. They need cofactors like magnesium, vitamin B6, and folate, which is vitamin B9, to support the conversion of tryptophan to serotonin to melatonin. But wait, there's more. Your brain's sleep orchestra also involves GABA, which is gamma-aminobutyric acid, your calming neurotransmitter. Also calcium, magnesium, and potassium for muscle relaxation, zinc, vitamin D, and antioxidants for overall nervous system health. Quick note, some neurotransmitters like acetylcholine and histamine are actually wake promoting. So your body has to strike a balance between calm and alert. And no, we still don't exactly know what the evil queen gave Snow White to knock her out cold. But let's talk about real foods that support sleep without putting you in a coma. Foods rich in sleep-promoting nutrients include seeds like chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, and flax seeds. They're like little sleep grenades loaded with tryptophan and healthy fats and fiber. Nuts, especially almonds, cashews, pistachios, and walnuts, contain melatonin, magnesium, calcium, and folate, a dreamy combination for a bedtime snack that won't spike your blood sugar. Now, none of these things are going to put you to sleep. What they're going to do is nourish a healthy gut microbiome that helps your body strike the correct balance so that your sleep improves. And there are some fruits that also pack a punch. Things like bananas that bring melatonin, serotonin, magnesium, potassium, fiber, and B6. And pineapple offers complex carbohydrates, melatonin, serotonin, and fiber. But there's another interesting fruit that's been shown to have some sleep-promoting properties. Kiwi. Not only does it contain melatonin, but also anthocyanins, flavonoids, carotenoids, potassium, magnesium, and folate, And we don't have time to discuss all of those things tucked inside this fuzzy little fun fruit. But suffice it to say, they're good for you. But kiwi is kind of itty-bitty, so to see a benefit to your sleep, you might want to eat too. Another fruit that has grabbed the attention of TikTokers is tart cherries, and even tart cherry juice. Now, you always lose the good fiber with juicing, but you still get the melatonin. So yeah, TikTok meets nutrition science, because not only do tart cherries have a significant amount of melatonin, they also contain tryptophan, potassium, and serotonin. As a bonus, there's also some vitamin C and E and polyphenols, which are great for post-exercise soreness as well as cognitive health. Now, me and Pawpaw used to eat Fruit Loops before bed, and I hate to break it to my inner child, but that does not count. Now let's move on to vegetables like leafy greens, hello magnesium and potassium. Those help relax your muscles and nerves. Spinach is especially rich in folate, and yes, even tomatoes sneak in some melatonin and vitamin B6. Legumes like lentils, soybeans, and white beans are fiber-filled, blood sugar balancing, and they contain magnesium and complex carbohydrates that can support a steady release of melatonin. So I suggest that you make a list of sleep-promoting foods. You might even want to head over to my website, healthylooksgreatonyou.com, and grab your free pantry guide. I've got a list of things you can keep in the pantry and the freezer to whip up a healthy, quick meal for your family. And listen, lentil salad is one of my favorite things, and I often share that recipe on my newsletter. So make sure you're on the list, and don't forget your grains. Things like barley and brown rice and oats, they're so easy to digest. Even whole grain breads and pasta have some fiber and complex carbohydrates and tryptophan, which helps the body make more melatonin and go night-night without a fight. I'd also like to mention a resource by Dr. Marie-Pierre Saint-Onge. She's a PhD professor at Columbia University, and she wrote a book that promotes a Mediterranean dietary pattern for better quality of sleep. And if you don't want to buy a new book right now, then just head over to my website, healthylooksgreatonyou.com. I have lots of resources on sleep. I have a new one that I'm super excited about, and I cannot wait for you to see it. It's called 3 Simple Strategies to Help You Start Sleeping Better Tonight. It's really one of my favorite things I've created. I hope you'll go sign up for that. It's a free downloadable tip sheet. And I have another free resource that's coming really soon. And that is a collection of downloadable recipes that contain all of these great foods that have the nutrients in them that are necessary for a good night's sleep. If your sleep is a hot mess, take a good look at your plate. Skip that late night steak and spicy splurge, and instead reach for calming, nutrient-dense, plant-based food that support your sleep chemistry. And remember, you're not just what you eat, you are what your microbes eat too, and that's a whole other episode. But sleeping peacefully can lead to better health, and healthy looks great on you. The information contained in this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not considered to be a substitute for medical advice. You should continue to follow up with your physician or healthcare provider and take medication as prescribed. Though the information in this podcast is evidence-based, new research may develop and recommendations may change.